back to another episode of Between Us Girlies. I'm Bailey.
I'm Casey.
I'm Bran.
I'm Lindsay.
And hey, it's episode 27 dresses. Let's go. And happy Pride, everyone. It's June. Happy Pride Month. And let's kick it off. What did we do this past weekend? Let's do a recap real quick.
We had a very gay weekend.
Love that.
Friday was like one of the best nights I've had in quite some time. All four of us were present, which I'm so excited to hear everyone's different perspectives. But our gay friend Kirk had a huge pride party that he has every year, and it's always like truly one of the most fun nights of the year. Whole like view of the skyline, beautiful rooftop, and we just were like, it's just so much love and joy, and everyone's just like so happy.
I love that we've gotten to the point, this is what, our third or fourth year going, like we know people that we only know from this party, so it's so fun to like see them and connect, and it's like, I don't ever talk to you any other time but this party, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
It was really fun. But actually, before we get into that, we have to talk about El Camino and the margarita pitchers. So we had a plan before Kirk's party to get pitchers at El Camino happy hour. From 5 to 7 p.m., they do half-price pitchers. And their margarita pitchers are not only delicious, but they are deadly. So Bailey, I could tell, was reading my Virgo moon energy. Like, I was antsy to get there before 7 p.m., and she was such a sis and texted me separately outside the group chat. She was like, I will go with you and make sure we get a table. And I was like, fuck yes, I'm meeting you at 6:40. So we sit down, and I was wasting no time. I meant no business. I said, Bailey, we're ordering 2. I said, let's just get 2 so that when Lindsay and Casey come, we can smash these down. I wanted to get fucked up, and we were all on the same wavelength. Casey came with a hangover patch. Like, that is a true team player there. She said, y'all, you know that drinking makes you feel sick, but I'm doing it. She tapped those guns, and I said, period. So we got fucked up at El Camino, had delicious food.
Also, so smart for us doing that. I thought about saying we spent $30 we got 2 pitchers of margaritas and our meals. Like for $30
And
each.
we all ate. Like, we all got full-blown meals.
Yep.
And if there's anywhere you want to go in Northern Liberties that's just going to like set your mood to go out, it's El Camino, because you're sitting in the heart of everyone walking around. So you're seeing everybody, you're like getting the vibe for the night, and like you could go there with full intentions of going home and leave blacked out.
And it's the one place, I hope they don't clock me for this, or the CDC, but it's the one place since COVID where they continue to do to-go cups. So like we didn't finish the 2 pitchers there, but we were able to take to-go cups with straws and lids.
And I know I talk about this a lot on the podcast, restaurants' water. But El Camino's water goes absolutely stupid. And because you're drinking so much there and the drinks are so strong, when you're parched, like, they hydrate you.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
So we started off like the night strong. Then we went to the Pride party. Excellent time. We were there for hours, dancing, smoking cigarettes, just being good, feral, fashion, fun. Like, it was great. And then our guy friends met up with us, and they convinced us to go to Elmira for drinks, which, let me just say, that was, in hindsight, woo, that was unnecessary for me to get a filthy, dirty martini at midnight. But I gotta say, it was delicious.
I'm going to say something. It was the best dirty martini I've ever had in my entire life.
It was really
in my
good.
whole life.
Yeah.
Wow.
I messed up. I had an espresso and a dirty martini. But that was the last recollection
You
I
had 2 drinks there?
Yes.
Wow.
That
You
was
weren't even there for that long.
No,
You
I
must have just been throwing
Is
them
that
back.
the night you didn't remember, where you were like, I remember nothing? Okay.
I think that was like my last memory of like the night. But I remember both those drinks were good.
We were drinking with a purpose.
Yeah, I know. That was so, oh God.
No, you and I were up on the roof before we get to the Elmira, and I was like, Billy, let's go take a shot, because I just love the social bonding of like taking a shot. I think it's so fun. So we go downstairs, we pour a little shot. I barely got the shot glass to my lips, and you had it all the way down. I was like, damn, I needed to pick a different person to take a shot
I'm
with.
so sorry.
True veteran.
Yeah.
TV.
Yep. And then Lindsay tapped out, but that was good. You had done your time. At that point, we had been out for 6 hours. I literally looked at her, I go, you're going home, right?
Honestly, I'm going to start doing this thing where I used to do this in college, and I need to bring it into my adult life. When it's time to leave, it's time to leave. Nobody should be taking care of me. Nobody should be holding my hair back. Nobody should be worried about my whereabouts. If Lindsay needs to leave, Lindsay's going to be out. So I looked at Brandon and I was like, yeah, it's time for me to go. And I went to bed. I woke up in the morning with a horrible hangover, but at least I was asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we continue the night as Pride goes in the neighborhood. Me, Casey, Lindsay, and our friends Ryan and Liz, we all went to Woody's.
You mean Bailey?
Oh my God. Yes.
Confusing us.
No, I know we don't look alike.
We all went to Woody's and had a smashing good time,
Yeah.
dancing. Drinks there are strong. I always like underestimate, like they are expensive, but they could quite literally last you the whole night. And we didn't even need them, as Bailey already mentioned, because we were already losing memories at this point.
I exited. I don't think the next day my friend and I were like, did we say bye to Brandon? Like, I feel like I
No.
just kind of walked out.
My like favorite kind of drunk sometimes is like there was 10 minutes of the night where Bailey and I were just blabbing about workouts, what Pilates app we're using, what new things we want to try in the middle of the dance floor. And then 1 minute later, we just had our sunglasses on, like dancing in the middle. And I was like, that's true friendship, to just go from like one end to the complete other.
I'm so glad, because I like the next day I was like, damn, I was talking her ear off about that Pilates ball, huh? Like, I was like, I'm glad you liked the conversation as well. That makes me feel good.
I loved it.
Yeah. At some point, Casey like soft launched that you guys were like planning on exit, and I was like, that's totally fine. I have this thing where like you could view it as a weakness, but I actually am going to view it as a strength. I get in these moods where I want to do solo mission nights. Like I low-key like love when my friends leave me and I have the whole world as my oyster. And it was 1:30 at that point. I was like, you know what? Let the girls leave. I'm going to go get into some mess. I was talking to a few different groups of people. A few of them were inviting me to Voyeur to continue at the afters. And I was like, y'all go home and you get your sleep. And I had myself a fucking night. Was hungover as hell on Saturday. But it was worth it. Like I woke up and I wasn't even mad that I was like debilitatingly dying, because I was like, that was so fun.
It
Yeah.
was.
I've discovered this, like, I don't think going out is expensive. I think the money you spend the next day for your hangover is what is expensive. Because I didn't really even spend that much money Friday night. But you know what I did spend a lot of money on? $32 for my breakfast sandwiches the next morning. $17 for my coffees, and then I ordered a $53 poke bowl. These are for both me and my boyfriend, but that is so much money in just before 2 p.m. based purely on how much money, because I was so hungover, I couldn't like bother to like do anything other than just pay for food. And I feel like every time I drink, I just spend so much money the next day.
I agree. I spent 30 on sushi, and I was like, girl, like I ate it all though.
Yeah, so we were out of commission Saturday. And then yesterday we went to the Pride Parade. That was fun until it wasn't. So I had a little Menti V. Hey y'all. Had to like have a full blown breakdown. And then we went to the Cheesecake Factory. But basically I'm gonna keep it like super real with you guys. Like I just went through a breakup. Pride was a very special memory that I had with my ex. It was the only time I've ever gone to Pride with a significant other, and it was a totally different experience. So it's only naturally human to compare the new year when I'm now single to that. And it was hard because like it was so much fun and there was so much love and joy, like I mentioned, but like at some point I got just very overwhelmed and I realized like I can't be here right now. Like I need to just go, and you guys were such good friends. It literally inspired me to make this whole TikTok that I posted last night where I was like, how your friends react to you when you're in a social gathering and you say, hey, I want to leave, is like honestly so telling. And there are some situations where if you're like chronically bad energy, we've had friends like this that we've talked about before that always want to leave and just are never a good time. Those people should just never go in general. But I'm not like that. Like very rarely am I the person who's like, I want to go home. I think you guys can attest to that. Like I can pretty much stick through any scenario. So like having you guys just instantly reply and be like, okay, let's go get food. And like not making me feel bad for the fact that you all did your makeup, you all got ready. Casey, you rearranged your plans with your mom. Like I felt like really anxious about like honestly having a breakdown, and you guys were all such great, amazing friends. We're just like, it's not a big deal. Like, let's go. And I appreciate that. And I hope that everybody has the chance to have like good friends like that who are there to support you like when you're going through a little bit of a rough time.
I will say, just never, if you're that friend and if you're ever going through it, never feel bad or like ever apologize. You kept saying sorry, but I'm like, it is okay. Like, it's completely understandable. Like, I was selfishly hungry as hell. And I was like, yes, let's get him out of this city. Like, please. But, like, never feel like a shame or like apologetic for like having feelings or like wanting to get out of a situation that you don't feel comfortable in. Like, we're here to support you 100% all the time.
Yeah, I am like actively working on this, but like I am just such an appeaser, and I literally internalize like so many things that I shouldn't. And I, like I said, I was just like, oh my gosh, like they all Ubered here, they all came for this, and like we all were supposed to spend this day together, and like here I am like kind of like calling it quits early, but like it was really nice, and I appreciated all of that from you guys.
We got you, baby.
Yeah. And we made we had such a good day. We went to the Cheesecake Factory, which y'all know we love that place.
Stunning. The one we went to in Center City, Philadelphia. It was
Don't tell anybody about that. I'm trying to gatekeep that place.
I know, you're
That was
right.
beautiful.
That place was stunning. And we had a gift card that I've been begging for us to use for the past month. So I'm like, please,
real.
y'all, let's leave. I mean, I love celebrating Pride, don't get me wrong. But I was like, please, y'all.
But I do feel like that's something important to note. Like if you're going through something with your friend, if your friend's like, hey, I want to leave, don't just like let them leave and keep it moving. Like we like left but then still stayed together. We like made it a point to not just like, oh, you want to leave, okay, let's all Uber home. It was like, let's go get food, or let's Uber back to our houses and do something. Like sometimes even if your friend wants to leave, it doesn't mean that they want to leave you. It just means they want to leave like the setting.
And that truly was it. Like there are times where it's like, no, I literally need to go home and be alone. Like that wasn't it. I just needed to be out of that atmosphere. I actually didn't want to go home and be alone at all. So it was great that you guys like picked up on that.
Yeah. It was a really fun Sunday. It was nice.
It was. It was a great weekend overall. You know, there's going to be ups and downs. I think anybody who's like gone through a breakup will like understand that. Like literally one day, 1 hour, 1 minute, you feel totally fine. And then the next, it just like hits you, and you just have to kind of give yourself the grace of feeling that. Like feelings literally are the ocean. They come in waves. Like, and just the best thing you can do is just sit in it, let it happen, let the wave die down. And, you know, it's just like, it's natural. It is what it is.
Yeah. Wow. Almost like like I feel like people get sad around the holidays. It was like sad around moments that are full of love. And it's like, how could you feel that in a moment like this? But I feel like Pride is something similar. Like it's full of love and you start to get emotional and sad, but it's going to be a great month.
Speaking of relationships, what was that one Taylor Swift song?
The smallest man who ever lived.
Yes.
Yep.
Period. Come on, T Swift.
Period.
Well, I think it's going to be a great epi for us to talk about some of the smallest men who ever lived in our lives and some men who have done us dirty or, let's say, ruin our lives.
Yeah.
Good. Let's get into that.
It's so funny. Before we get into this, I know we don't do girly quote of the day anymore, but if we did, I would have to quote Bailey Witherspoon, because when we were having developmental calls about what we wanted to do season 2, we talked about, because you guys had said you wanted to hear an episode about breakups and things, and we all kind of like were naturally like sort of defending some of the men in our past, and Billy goes, hold on, are we defending men right now in 2024? And I think that really is like, at this point in 2024, I have no defense for men. I hate that God made me gay. I should have liked women. I can't deal with it. So who wants to kick us off?
Eeny, meeny, buddy.
I can.
I was going to say I could start if you want. But
Yeah,
go
because
ahead.
you take
Okay.
the pitch pipe.
Okay, so I'm not going to talk about my old ex-boyfriend. That story is true and tied. We need to give somebody else some bad attention. So we're going to talk about this guy named Matt. And I met Matt after my long relationship. So I feel like girlies in long relationships can kind of understand that first person you meet after a long relationship can seem like the greatest person ever. Yeah. And not only that, but I had been in a relationship for 5 years. I was single for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months. And then I met this guy. So I was a little bit like new to dating at the time. It's not like I was a fucking like grandma, but like I hadn't been dating for 5 years. So I didn't know to look out for all the signs of a fuckboy. But you know what? I'm old and grown now. So I know all the signs to look for in a fuckboy because Matt was a fuckboy. Didn't know that when we first met. I actually met him through Brandon. Brandon was Brandon was literally a little chess player. You went over to him and you're like, that girl with the blonde hair, she thinks you're really cute. You should go say hi. And then he came over to me and he was like, that guy in the dark shirt, like he's gonna come over. He's really cute. You should say hi to him. And Brandon set it all up. So thanks for that, Brandon.
At the time, I was doing something nice.
No, you did. So I met this man. We instantly hit it off. We like dated, not like boyfriend, girlfriend, but like dating for like honestly 7 months. It was a pretty long time. And I would say like month 5, I was like, hey, I will like want to be serious with you. We were doing all the things that you would do in a relationship. He met my family. He met all of my friends. We would go out together. We took dates. And he did sign number 1 where he said, well, we can be exclusive, but I just don't want to put a title on it. Like, I really like how things are right now, and I just don't want to put a title and change anything. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, if we're still like exclusive, then that works for me. And it doesn't. That is the first thing you should know is if a guy says that, he does not want to be with you. Because if he wanted to be with you, he would say, yes, let's be in a relationship together. But any excuse other than, yes, I want to date you is a red flag. And he literally was like, oh, we can be exclusive and whatever. I kept that going for another like 2 to 3 months. He then ended things because they were getting too serious and he didn't want to ruin me and he was just a bad guy with a fucked up history. And that's sign number 2 is if a guy tries to make it seem like you're just too good for him and he doesn't want to ruin you, that's a sign of a fuckboy. He is like, he's literally telling you exactly what he's going to do to you, but he frames it in a way that you think, you're like, oh, no, but you're not a bad guy. Like, you're not going to ruin me. He will ruin you because guess what? That situationship went on for 2 more years. So years.
Oh,
years. This man was relevant for far too long. And he did the classic fuckboy like breadcrumbing. Like we would like end things and then he would DM a story. Then he would DM 2 stories.
I hate that.
And then he would say something which I don't know why, but every guy I've ever dated like loves calling me Casey Joan, which is my middle name. So he would like reply to a story with Casey Joan, which was like, you know, those things like a guy's just doing something to trigger you.
Poking at you.
Yes, like he knows.
Taunting.
It's not just saying like, oh, you look good. It's like, oh, Casey Joan, you know you look good.
Jesus
like something
Christ.
like that where you're just like, damn, like it get, yep.
Kind of got me though.
Yeah.
And that's what it does.
But it's manipulative.
Yeah.
It's like it's adding a layer of personalness to it. Like I
Yep.
know your middle name. I know more things about you than the average guy that you might be texting on your dating app. Like remember me, I still exist and we have history. And it's like pulling on you. It's so manipulative and fucked up.
It's the worst. Like it'll be a picture of me and my mom and he would be like, tell your mom I said hi.
that's like future.
Literally whole ass future texts. So of course it fucking worked on me because I didn't know that was what a fuckboy was. Like I would hear about fuckboys, but I didn't know what they were like in real life. So I thought he was just like being nice and wanted to talk to me, and I was like delusional, and he would text me at 2 a.m. to come over, and I'm like, oh my God, he went to the bars and he didn't like any of the other girls. He wants to hit up me. Like, no, bitch. He didn't find any other girls and you're desperate and he's going to hit you up. Like that's delusion is crazy because I would literally convince myself that he got home and would lay on his bed and be like, oh, I need Casey here.
Wow, your self-awareness is excellent.
I know now. But I hate that I didn't then because like I look back and I'm like, damn, I looked so stupid. And I would find out other girls he was liking on, like I would find other girls he was talking to and all these things. And this man just fucked me up for 2 years. So if like, you have to have a moment with yourself when you are getting played by the same man. If you are tired of saying that name to your friends, you need to like self-evaluate and be like, does he pass the test of being a fuckboy? Because I have said his name so much and we are not dating. Something's got to change.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't equal in.
That's
so
such a good point.
That is a good point.
yeah, he did this to every girl. I have recently connected with one of his exes, which is a funny story for another day. And she was like, oh yeah, that's entirely how he is. Like he just does that to everyone. He's the same person because fuckboys are like, they follow a formula. They know exactly what to do. They know exactly how to get you. So like keep your eyes aware because the signs might like trick you, but they're there if you're just like open enough to seeing it.
Yeah.
So he was the smallest man who ever lived. I look back and even the fucked up shit that I've done through with other guys, I still look at him and I'm like, damn, you made me think you were a good guy. Like you made me think you were nice and you're not.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Wow.
Wow, my heart is pounding.
Yeah.
God, I hate men. Like they are so bad. Like I hate them. I can go off real quick.
It's like softball. I'm up.
I just don't know what part of my. So okay. I met this young fellow named Phil through Brandon as well because of
we
Brandon.
are sensing a pattern.
Listen, I like wingmanning my friends. I don't realize that they're going to ruin their lives.
It was technically Brandon and Lindsay, but it was Brandon's birthday.
Don't
and
bring me into
the
this.
pandemic. We weren't doing super spread, but it was 2020. So I met this guy, and my first red flag should have been when he was about to go into my room and like hook up with some girl, and I was like, excuse me, don't do that. Wait, I'm gonna cut that part because I do not want that in the episode. It makes me look like a fucking idiot. Like I already am an idiot for this goddamn story. But anyways, so I met this guy named Phil, and so we met in the pandemic, and I think that's where it started off wrong. Was just a pandemic little relationship. But to Casey's point, if they're not gonna date you, just stop. I think ours just like so like butterfly and rainbows because it was a situationship, to be honest. Like we were hooking up every weekend. But situationships don't buy you birthday presents for 2 to 3 years, like jewelry presents. And situationships also don't. I don't even know where to go with it. He was just a horrible human being.
You lived in the worst limbo of it wasn't a situationship, but it wasn't a relationship.
Yeah.
Like it was this terrible limbo in between that like didn't.
And he would make me crazy. Could be like, he would make me verbally say like, oh, like I want to date you. I'm like, yeah, I want to date you. Like, why? Why else am I in this fucking shit? And he'd be like, well, I don't think I want to do that. But I'd still be chasing after that because he would also breadcrumb, be like, oh, remember me? Because ladies, if you do this trick where you have your phone on do not disturb and you call someone and it goes straight to voicemail, you call them again, the phone calls goes through. So when a man does that to me at 2:30 in the morning, you're not just. You don't want a relationship with me, but you still want me on your radar, which is absolutely mind-boggling. With that man, I also got embarrassed in public a few times,
Which makes him the smallest man who ever lived.
Yes.
Literally, like microscopic.
Like, for you to talk to a guy, I remember I was in tears one night because I even like went to a bar with his friend for his birthday, and I see him walking out of that club with the girl to go fuck. And I'm just like, oh, there it is. Like, and he would do that constantly. We were at Ladder one time. Brandon had to defend my honor. It was the one and only time. And he just is making a fool in front of him, honestly, for himself and his friends. Like, his friends don't like him. Like, he just proved to be such a horrible human being. But I kept going back every time. Like, obviously, there's something to say if I was in it for, like, 3 years, like 2020 to 2023. But I think I just love the chaos of it all. Like, we kind of played a cat and mouse game, and even his friend told me this kind of cooked me. He was like, you guys like doing this toxic stuff. Like, I loved it. Like, maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm the smallest girl who ever lived. The thickest, smallest girl who ever lived. But maybe that was me, because I just loved playing that cat and mouse. Because I'm like, he was giving me attention, but I was also getting attention from other guys.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I think there's something about like, you kind of get swept up in it, and then you look and you're like, holy fuck, it's already been 6 months. Like, I can't just give up now. We're kind of like, we're about to figure things out. And then it's like 3 months go by, and then it's 4, then it's almost a year, and you're like, fuck, we've been talking for a year. Like, I don't want to just let this person go. And like, next thing you know, it hits you that it's been so long and you've invested so much time. So you almost like, literally like accidentally get invested in something without even really realizing it.
And it was like, for me, I'm a creature of habit as well. Like you just said, like, it's being with a person, like, all right, 1 year, I'm comfortable. 2 years, comfortable, just like hooking up with you. 3 years, okay, let's keep doing it. It just like becomes such a like routine habit. Even your body kind of just like wants that person. Oh God. Yeah. But I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm in a good place now. Obviously, that was in the past, but it just looking back on it, I'm like, damn. Like, I was in such a spot where like every weekend I was looking for him. Like, it just became a point where I was kind of tunnel vision. And I don't really regret that time in my life, because I've learned so much about myself and what I want from another partner, of how I want people to respect me. Because it all came down to respect as well. Me not respecting him not respecting me. And I mean, him more not respecting me. But I don't know. I know what I want now. And I feel like I'm in a limbo, not a limbo period. I just like don't want anything new right now, just because it's like thinking of that for the past 3 years. It's not like I missed, I mean, maybe I did miss out on things, but like everything happens for a reason. But it was just so toxic.
Yeah. Also, though, like, you don't give yourself enough credit. Like, you never put all your Easter eggs in that basket. Like, you did entertain other people for sure, which I always thought was like really great about you, because that was something that which we'll get to me later, but I would be bad at doing. So I always admired that. And also, it's like, you're not dumb. It's literally like, it's almost like a dopamine rush, the chase. And like, when you say it was fun and we enjoyed doing it, like, I feel like most people, not everyone, but most people can relate to that, because like, it becomes like you set yourself up for like a little reward system where it's like, oh, they did call me at 2:30 a.m. They are still thinking about me. And it's like this weird thing where you're constantly chasing after something that you know deep down won't ever happen or exist. But the idea of it is what keeps you lingering, and their manipulative behavior keeps you honestly like at their feet. And it's so much harder to like actually step out of it and be like, I'm done with this. When you're in that situation, it feels like it's endless. And like, they can reel you back in, because like Casey said, they know to DM you Casey Joan. They know the buttons to push to pull you back in.
And that's what it is. It's crazy, like, talking about it. I mean, I've talked about it with my therapist, and she was like, oh my God. Like, he was horrible. But like, talking about it, I feel like for those past 3 years, it was just so much energy. Like, I feel like I'm exhausted just talking about it. It was just like, there's so many things I could even like have like 2 more episodes on, but I won't. Like, I just think, like you said, it's just like, maybe it's just all that dopamine. There was just such a rush for like so long, like a drug. Like, it was just wild to even think about. But I'm glad I'm in a better place.
Well, I guess it's my turn to be in the hot seat. And I know that we're talking about the smallest man who ever lived, but I think my story will be better if I talk about the smallest men who ever lived, because my man, I have to talk about both. They're in a competition for the tiniest. So as the listeners know, in season 1, I've talked about my ex-boyfriend from college. Absolutely dreadful, awful. I'm going to call him Chester. He is a cheetah. That's why I'm calling him that. He cheated on me repeatedly. I said in season 1, I felt like the dumbest girl at Penn State. I looked for all the signs. I knew what all the signs were, and I continued to ignore them just because I literally was in love with this man, and anything that he did was okay with me. If he said sorry, if he bought me a present. And that is so belittling for you to go through something where somebody literally disrespects you as a person and your relationship, and then thinks because they take you on a shopping spree at PacSun or they buy you DoorDash, which it's expensive. Casey noted $50 for 2 poke bowls. Like, I was on a college budget. Like, that man was taking care of me while destroying me at the same time, and I just allowed that, and I felt so silly and stupid for that. But I loved him, and he knew what he was doing, which makes him this big. On the flip side of that, when we broke up, I started talking to another man, and he is small to me because he is what I like to call a predator. We can literally call him predator. I think that people who are genuinely sick and need to hurt others to feel good about themselves, they're honestly like predators looking for prey. Like, I was a wounded gazelle and he was a full-blown lion. And I'm saying that about myself because I was graceful and kind and strong and brown. And he was just hiding in these bushes waiting to pounce on me just so that he could eat me alive. And this man manipulated me and abused me in ways that I honestly don't even feel comfortable talking about on the podcast. Maybe if we had like a live show or a show where like I could really speak my truth, that would be a time to discuss this. But he abused me in every way that you could think of. And the biggest red flag that I saw was I lived at home, which was 30 minutes from Center City. He lived outside of Center City. And I went to Center City for a best friend's birthday, and I said, how about after my friend's dinner, I'll come to your house and hang out with you for a little. The dinner ended up going on way too long. I had to get back to my house 30 minutes away, so I just texted him. I said, hey, I'm actually not going to make it. Like, the dinner ran over. You would think I called him the most derogatory name. I punched him in the face. I kicked his mom. Like, you would think I did the awful, awful, awful to him. I remember sitting in the car on the phone with him, and he was sobbing like... It was so dramatic to the point where I was like, something might be wrong with you, but I'm going to overlook this because I'm a fixer. I'm a Cancer. Like, it's in my nature to want to help you. But that just escalated so much. And there were so many points where, like, honestly, I thought he was going to kill me at one point. It gets really, really dark. And right after kind of being with him, I ended up breaking up with him. And there was a point where he said, if you break up with me, I'm going to kill myself. And that, like Casey, it was the first time I'd ever dealt with a person like that. And this is not a person who I would consider like an F-boy, but somebody who like is genuinely mentally unstable, which I don't mean that in a rude way. It's just kind of, it is what it is. I don't know how else to explain him. And he made me feel like I couldn't talk to anybody about this. Like, I didn't want to tell my mom and dad, like, this guy's abusing me, saying he's going to kill himself and it's going to be my fault. I'm sitting in my bed thinking, if Predator dies, it's because of me. So I didn't really know how to remove myself from that situation. And it took me walking on eggshells to kind of get out of that. And once I began cracking through those shells and getting to the other side, Chester was waiting for me with open arms, ready to take me back. And that's so sick because, again, I loved him. I found comfort in him, and I never stopped loving him being with Predator. It was just jumping from a frying pan to a dumpster fire. And
that's a good way to put it.
No, truly. And I just felt so broken in that time. And Chester just continued to mess with my brain to the point where when I did meet somebody else, and I'm not saying that he was an amazing person, but when I did meet someone else, I went into it with the mindset, like, this person's going to hurt me. They're going to abuse me. They're going to take advantage of me. They're going to cheat on me. And I gave him little to no respect. And that is a bigger story because so many things have happened. But if I'm speaking from my heart, I went into that relationship with no respect for that person. And he did nothing to me. It's just you do what you know. So those two guys work together to just be so tiny and so small. And I was telling Brandon this, when people say like, I wish you well. It's like, I just made a TikTok about this. I don't wish you well. I don't mean that as a petty way, but like, I don't hope you're doing well. I don't wish you the best in life. Like, I'm sorry. It would be like me saying about Donald Trump, who I absolutely hate for the listeners. I wish you well, Donald. I'm not going to vote for you, but wish you well. Why would I wish that man well? He sucks. Like, I don't like those men, and I don't wish them well.
I think like you have to be a certain level of fucked up to like employ emotional blackmail, which is exactly what Predator was doing to you. And like that is emotionally blackmailing someone when you're like, if you do this, I'm gonna do that. It's threatening, it's holding over your head, and it's so manipulative. Like that is truly like wild. And like watching you go through that, like when we moved into our apartment, like that man, like the remnants of him, he was finally on his way out. Like I just saw like how fucking crazy he was. And I was really glad that you found a way to end that, and like obviously end it without any bloodshed, thank God. But it was very,
I mean, it was scary.
It was scary.
I know you don't want to tell this story, but I feel comfortable sharing it. Like Brandon and I had a party at our brand new home. Like Brandon always says how sacred spaces are and how important it is to not allow toxic people or things into new spaces, because it just creates a bad environment. And I did not want him in my home. Like this was my new beginning. And he showed up to something uninvited. And Brandon, I said to Brandon, it's either going to be the cops that go downstairs or it's going to be you that goes downstairs. And I'm not going. So I need you to go downstairs and tell him to leave. I need him to get out of my life. And Brandon said that he went downstairs, and this man...
I had to walk into his car. I was like, listen, you're not coming upstairs. You're not coming into the building. He was very emotional, obviously. And I was like, I don't want you to do anything stupid. Please tell me where you're parked. I will listen to you. I will walk you to the car, but you have to get in it and you have to leave. And he obliged. It was really hard. It was really difficult. But like at that point, there was no way in hell I was going to let someone like that get into my house, let alone into my roommate's life, like my best friend's life. I was like, this is your time. You need to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Sometimes you can't do it all on your own. Like sometimes
100%.
you need somebody to be like the tough love that you can't give, or to like do exactly what you did. Like sometimes you really do need other people to help you get out of it. And then I'm sure as soon as that ended, you were like a huge sigh of relief for you. Like
I was honestly scared because a few things happened. My tires were slashed randomly, not saying he did that, but the way that things happened, like I felt like he was always watching me.
Baby reindeer.
Full baby reindeer. It was very scary. So I appreciate you doing that for me. Of course.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, it does take a village.
Oh, God.
Get into you, Branny.
So I need to preface this story with two things. Number one, this is not about my ex-boyfriend. I know we're not defending men. He really was an angel. Not going to say anything bad about that man. This is about my situationship before my first relationship. So a little bit different than Casey's. And you know, I was going to say that I was the dumbest person alive, because when I tell you guys the story that I'm about to tell you, your jaws will be on the floor. I'm not even going to say that. Hindsight is 20/20. I was a very lonely, very insecure 24-year-old going through the pandemic, and I literally was seeking comfort. And I let that very large hole in my heart blind me. So I move into this apartment November 2020. I do what every gay man does when he's in a new space, downloads Grindr. And I get in contact with this man who we will call Tanner. And Tanner was red flag to begin with. He would breadcrumb me through Grindr, which is a hookup app. It's not a serious commitment app. He would message me, kind of make plans fall through, message me, make plans fall through. And it was very infrequent. Like it would come by like once every few months. There was no consistency. So to the point where November 2021, I'd been living in this apartment for a year. I still have not met this man. He still very randomly will occasionally message me. So one night he messages me. He's like, what are you doing? I know I've been messing around, but like seriously, I'm free Friday. Do you want to get drinks? And I was like, sure, fine. I'll see if you actually show up this time, because you always like start to make plans and then you ditch. Sure enough, he's like, no. I promise this time I'm not going to do that. I'm going to meet you for drinks. What happens, you guys? Friday comes around, ghosts. Does not message me, does not do anything. It gets absolutely worse. He then messages me on Saturday. Well, I read it on Saturday. He messages me at 10 p.m. on Friday night when we should have been on a date together. And he goes, hey, I'm out to dinner with this guy and he loves your TikToks. Would you mind sending a picture of yourself and saying hi? So let's just take a step back. Blew me off on the date. Lets me know during the time slot of that date that he's on a date with someone else. And then asks me if I will send a photo saying hello to the man that he's on a date with. Now, you guys, this is where I have a few screws loose. So I cuss him out, as I should. And I said, you know what? We've been doing this game for a year. I'm blocking you, period. I get a DM on Instagram. I don't follow this man. And he sends me, honestly, not even a great apology, but in my eyes, I was like, oh, he said sorry. And he was like, listen, I'm really sorry. That was fucked up. I shouldn't have done that. I promise you, if I can make it up to you, I would love to take you to drinks on Tuesday. Here my delusional ass goes, thinking, oh my God, how funny of a story if like we end up dating. Like this is how we met. Like he was such a jerk in the beginning, but we made it through fucking mentally ill. Look at this, mental illness. So what happens? I go to get drinks with this man on Tuesday. To everyone's surprise, he exists. He shows up. He's cute and he's got a big dick. So
Wow.
I'm into it. We have a great night. And then all of a sudden we're hanging out every 2 days. We're texting all day. We have all the same interests. We like the same shows. We like the same music. I'm in it to fucking win it. Then, long story short, he ends up being a fuckboy. The signs that Casey was pointing out earlier. I got too close and he pulls back and basically says the infamous, it's not you, it's me. I don't want anything serious. I can't commit to you. You're a good guy, whatever. Could have left it at that. But as people do who, in this case, are narcissists, they feed off of your attention. Mm-hmm. And one of the most disastrous situationships you can have is with an anxious attached person like myself and a narcissist who's avoidant. That mutualistic parasite relationship, I feed off the person who's not giving me attention. They feed off me giving them attention. And it becomes such a hard bond to break. Mm-hmm. So he tells me he doesn't want anything serious. The four of us go to Miami. His name fucking lights up on my phone 2 weeks after this. And I go to be a bitch. And I'm like, fuck you. What do you want from me? He goes, my grandma died. And I was like, fuck. I'm really sorry. Like, so sorry about this. Let me know if you need anything. Of course, this turns into conversation. I'm trying to be nice and comfort him. It ends up going on too long. But eventually, he stops messaging me again. You guys, tell me why. I go on Grindr. This man changes his profile picture to a brand new photo of him in a suit. I had this horrific fear that ended up being unfortunate common sense. And I messaged him, I said, is that a photo of you at your grandma's funeral? You took a selfie in the mirror at the chapel. You took that selfie and you made it your Grindr profile picture.
Audacity.
At this point, run for the fucking hills, Brandon. Run, run, run. But what do? I continue to converse with him because once again, mental illness. So here's the final and just really, really hard one. I, during the time that we were speaking in December, did a little brand deal where I got to do, it was called My Face Socks, and I put my photo on socks, and I made an ad being like, oh my gosh, get these for your best friends for Christmas. And as a joke, I gave it to him. I was like, oh my God, got you a Christmas present, and I handed him these socks. Flash forward, we're done talking, and I always randomly thought, I'm like, I wonder what he did with those. Like, probably just threw them out, right? One random day in February, my roommate comes home and says, Brandon, this was outside for you. This man cut up the socks, wrote the F slur on them and loser, and left them outside my front door.
Oh, boy.
And it gets better. Not just that, he actually scattered pieces of the socks across the street that I lived on to the point where a random girl on Instagram DM'd me and said, hi, this is so weird, but I'm walking by the nail salon and there's a sock with your face all over it outside. Yeah.
And our other roommate, bless her heart, she had no idea. She's like, oh my God, what's going on?
Had no clue.
Bless her.
So this man was
That
deranged.
like borders the line of a hate crime.
No,
does it not?
it was absolutely psychotic. To this day, I never knew what triggered that because we hadn't been talking. I actually think it was because, like I said, I stopped giving the narcissist attention. I ended up blocking him. And I think that pissed him off so much that I took his control away that he went and did that. And the crazy thing is, y'all, even after that, I accepted his apology. And for a few months, we still ended up talking until I finally did fucking block him. And I have never looked back. And sometimes you have to be almost the worst version of yourself to know what you don't want to be. And like, that's why it's like, call me dumb. I was dumb, 100%. I was broken. I'm not that same person now. And I wish that I never had to go through that to like realize my worth. It shouldn't take someone like being such a piece of shit for you to learn your worth. But unfortunately, that's what it was for me. And I realized, hey, like I'm never going to go through that again. But yeah, that will be the first, last, and only time I will ever talk about Tanner because as you can imagine, I'm honestly terrified of him. And he would like text me any single time I posted a video and be like, is this about me? Is this about me?
I bet
So
Tanner listens to the pod.
he probably
definitely
is listening
does.
to
He
it right
definitely
now.
does.
So here's your 10 minutes of fame, quote unquote. Enjoy it. Remember what we didn't have and you're fucking crazy. And yeah, period.
You know the thing I hate the most is like throughout all these stories, it is just so apparent how much we gave the other person and what they left us was absolute dog shit.
Yep.
Like you gave him grace and comfort during a period when he lost a family member. Lindsay, you gave this man so much fucking comfort and acceptance and peace when he was clearly mentally ill. Me and Bailey just gave ourselves to these people who just didn't want to date us. And it's like, damn, they left with so much better than we got left with. Like we got left with trust issues and fucking like the list goes on, and they just took all the good shit from us. Like it's just damn.
You know what pisses me off? What you just said, like just unlocked a memory for me. Predator. He used to say things like that person was a stepping stone. Like you're just a stepping stone in life. And it's like, no. You're justifying your piss poor behavior by saying, oh, you were a lesson. No, I was quite literally stepping stone. You stepped on me until I was balls deep into the ground. And now you're going to step on someone else. Yeah. So the stepping stone metaphor is it's crap.
I always think of it though, like because what we've dealt with that person, like we've seen their true colors, and I doubt these people are going to change. Good luck to the next person because I know exactly what they're going to go through, and they're not going to date them because they're probably going to be a little bit quicker than we were and see right through it, hopefully, so they don't get away with this shit again. But I was thinking, do any of you guys remember the zodiac signs of all these horrible men so we can just give the listeners?
He was a Cancer.
Aquarius.
A Pisces man, and Beyonce even said, Pisces, I swear to God, that Pisces man made me lose weight.
He was a Virgo.
Oh, God. Oh.
Wow,
But you know
all
what?
terrible.
I heard Virgos are a little tricky.
I have one positive note to end this story on. So something I believe in is that the universe will always test you. If you really want something, the universe does not just give it to you. If you're like, oh, I want $1 million, the universe does not just put $1 million in your bank account. But if you want something, the universe will put tests in your way. And if you fail them, the universe is like, hey, you're not ready for what you think you are. And if you pass them, then the universe is like, hey, you actually are in a good place. You are ready for what you want. So I met my current boyfriend December 1st. And December 19th, Matt texts me. After 2 years of no contact, we unfollowed each other on Instagram. We had nothing. He randomly follows me on Instagram, randomly DM'd me something about Brandon. He was like, oh, I saw a TikTok of Brandon like using that personal touch. He comes back in my life. He starts, I got a new phone number, so I give him my new phone number. He starts texting me. Next thing you know, he's like, listen, I fucked up. I never should have like ruined you. Like you were the best girl I ever met. All this fucking bullshit. And I literally in that moment was like, the universe is testing me. I have a really good guy that I just met that I think could go somewhere, or I have an old fuckboy that I know will lead to absolutely nothing. And I texted Matt and I said, you know what? I just met this guy and I think things could be kind of serious and I really want to give him my full attention, so please leave me alone. And 2.5 years later, I'm still with my boyfriend. So
Period.
I think there is good to come. You can learn lessons from all the fuckboys who screw you over.
100%. One of my favorite creators, Flossie Baby, love you. She said, he always comes back is not a flex. It's if you are dumb enough to continue to take him back. And that really does put it into perspective, because if you are living on a he always comes back mindset, that's taking away the power from you. That means you're going to be there when he does, even if it's just to laugh at him or entertain him. No, don't let them come back. Then you truly win. And I think that's where the silver lining is. Like, yeah, they got a lot from us, but at the end of the day, like Bailey said, they're not going to change, and they will end up being very, very lonely. And a person who can treat people who are good people, like the four of us, like that poorly, they'll have to live with that the rest of their life. I can live with the fact that I went through something where I was not the best version of myself, but now today I am, and I experienced a really amazing, healthy relationship in between that time. And now I know what I want and what I deserve. But I unfortunately did, for me, have to fail that first test of the universe, and in order to kind of pass the rest.
Well, in the spirit of this conversation, I thought it would be only right to give you guys a would you rather that would be about the smallest men who ever lived, but also really hard. And honestly, both options suck. So enjoy. Okay. Would you rather have the most perfect man? Like, he is everything and more. You're like how you feel about Jake. You have the most perfect guy in the entire world, but you have no money for 25 years. You guys struggle, and you're the age that you are now. You are a 27-year-old, 28-year-old. You are struggling to put food on the table, to keep the lights on. You're in love and you're happy and he's got your back, but you are financially crumbling.
Me right now.
But with a man in it, like it's the both of you. You live together, you share finances, like this is your life, but you're struggling 25 years. Or you are dating an absolute asswipe, an ass clown. He is the worst person ever. Let's take a combination of all the guys that we've talked about today. But you have everything. You have vacations, you have comfortability and stability. You're financially okay. You can buy whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. 25 years, then you get to leave. Think about it. 25 years from now, you'll be a hot mom age, I guess. But 25 years of suffering.
Yep, I'm picking that. 2 words: cheating and a prenup.
Oh, wow.
Period. If they're the worst person ever, they're cheating on me, so I might as well cheat back. Fuck that. And if they have all the money in the world, let's sign a document. And when after that 25 years, I will be taking that money to the bank. That's this one.
I'm gonna go with the first option.
Somebody would pick something else.
I do not. I'm a little selfish. I'm not gonna share my wealth, fame, or anything with someone that's a complete dipshit. And I feel like it's gonna be a cute love story. Like, get it out the mud. Like, there's so many. Like,
getting out of the mud for 25 years? That's over a quarter of your life.
Yeah, but at least I'm in love and they're experiencing
Mm-hmm.
it with me. Like, you know how many like rappers or like people who like go to jail, like
Held
that
me
type
down.
of beautiful love. Like, I need someone to hold me down and be with me, because you're gonna see me at my worst. Way without my worst right now is without my makeup, and honestly right now because I'm a little poor. So I'm living this reality if you really think about it.
Beautiful.
So yeah, no, I'm not gonna share my shit with anybody else.
I agree with you. Think about the number one thing celebrities say in interviews. They're like, it's so nice having all this success, but I just wish I had someone to share it with. Like, every fucking person who reaches a high level of success says that it's great, they love it, but they just wish they had someone to share it with. And I feel like there's a TikTok trend now where it's like, oh, I'm rich, and it shows like you with someone that like makes your life rich, not necessarily financially. And I feel like you got to go with like the person who's going to make your life rich.
I agree
the other way
with the sentiment. Unfortunately, the clause that I cannot get behind is 25 years. I've been alive for 27. If I was just now starting to like get out of like literal financial crisis, I don't think any kind of love would be worth that. I just don't. And I genuinely think like it would be beautiful to see your love prevail through that. But at the same time, like, oh my God, what really can you have? Like, how are you even going to afford a house? Are y'all living with your parents, like, or grandparents, or in a home? Like, I don't know. I just don't think I could enjoy it.
Selling cat.
You know, it was going to be a nice, beautiful moment, Bailey.
What are you picking, Lindsay?
I'm conflicted because I do have a nice family who would love to take me and this person in if it was a really healthy, loving relationship. But I couldn't live with my parents up until 18, and I honestly don't want to do it now. So, unfortunately, I would side with Brandon. I would be miserable for 25 years. I think that growing up was miserable at points. I think my relationship history has been rough. I've spent time in that jail before. I could keep doing it, especially if I was getting facials and food that I wanted and going on vacation. Like, I could get in my car and go to the beach with my friends. Like, I don't need a man to hold me down. I have family and friends. So, but I probably would cheat.
I feel like there's a clause. There's like something you need to know. Like, do you know that person is treating you like shit, or are you like all of us 5 years
you
ago
know.
when we didn't know that? Because if
know.
you know and you can be like, oh, he's treating me like shit, here's my money, then that's different. But if you're in it and you don't know that he's treating you like shit, and for 25 years you think he's treating you right,
That's a different story.
that's a totally different. That's like.
Oh,
You gotta
come
pick the first
home
one.
and all the shit smashed. Oh my god.
Damn, maybe I wrote this and I don't like it.
But like,
I'd like to go home.
There's a
horrible
lot of layers.
like
to
a
it.
horrible human being driving your Bentley around.
Nah, because you're right. You know what? I'm moving back
Not
in with Steph
wiping
and
his
Ken.
ass. Like hell no.
You're absolutely. You know what, Brandon? I'm retracting my statement. I'm going back
it.
to Upper Dublin.
Y'all have fun.
I'm moving into my parents' guest room with my man. My mom will still make dinner, do laundry.
You can provide for us, Brandon.
I'll
you have
be
a nice
in
house.
a house
we'll
in the
all come.
hills with my sneaky link. I'll be right there.
That's crazy.
We're coming over.
Period. Well, does anybody have any immunity necklaces for the day?
You know, I do. Sorry to our
hear it.
immunity community. We'll see y'all next week because I have one. I am not a patient person. I'm not. I've accepted this about myself. I work on it every day, but I am not a patient person. I don't have time for people that beat around the fucking bush anymore. Get to it. I know when a certain person texts me that there is a follow-up. I know they're going to ask for something. So don't play the game with me. Just fucking ask, rip off the Band-Aid. And to that point, a little second one, have a fucking sense of urgency when you are communicating with me. If I am asking you to do something, just do it. Or tell me when you're going to do it. I don't need to hear your sob story. We are too damn old. Like, our time is so fucking valuable. Like, just communicate and get it done. And if you can't get it done, tell me that you can't so I can figure out a way to do it my fucking self. I'm so sick of the beating around the bush shit. That's all.
I absolutely agree. Personally, me, if you're texting me, hey, in that message where you're saying, hey, say everything you need to say in one go. Say, hey, let's blah, 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 blah. Put it all in one shot so I can know if I need to answer this message. Versus, hey, me saying, what's up? Then I'm like, now I'm stuck in this conversation. Personally, just get to the point because everyone's time is precious. We're all busy, okay?
Right. And here's the thing. There's only one exception here, and I hate to break it to y'all, but a lot of you don't have it. Unless you are a fantastic storyteller, like it is worth investing into listening detail by detail, get to the point, because some of y'all think you're out here telling a fucking telenovela and it's literally the driest plot I've ever fucking heard. Just get to the fucking weak ass climax that the whole story was leading up to. Unless you've got the skill to tell the story, just fucking get to the point. Fuck off.
I think I know. Never mind. I agree. I felt that one.
I always get sidetracked when I'm telling stories, to be honest.
I put too much detail. I'll be like, it was a yellow sun
No.
that was in the sky.
You don't do that all the time.
But a lot.
Yeah.
I
You're
wanna
a
be
little
better.
flat.
But it adds color to the story.
Yeah.
You do a
Yeah,
good
I'm a
job.
I don't think you're a bad storyteller. I think sometimes it's a little confusing. I think it's like, wait, how do we get there from
I'm ADHD.
I'm always like, wait, what's that song called I was just singing last week?
I feel like none of us have really anything going on in our FYPs this week, but I'm sure we have some unsolicited recs. Mine, I'm really apologize for being this basic bitch right now, but like truly anytime you're going through like a weird transition in life, watch for the first time or rewatch Sex and the City. I'm telling you, I am finding so much comfort rewatching that show, and it's truly like one of the best things about Sex and the City. It's so impressive how the writing has held up to this day. And there is a reason, and people have talked about this on TikTok, where after 27 years, we are still talking about that show. If you were going through a breakup, a job loss, any type of emotional breakdown, and you're just struggling, honestly, with being an adult, watch Sex and the City, because there's so much lessons, there's so much relatability. Fantastic show. So that's my unlisted recommendation. Rewatch Sex and the City.
Agreed.
I have one. This is a book that I found through TikTok, and then I referenced it through my therapist, and she was like, that's a great book to read. It's called Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before by Dr. Julie Smith. I am in the process of reading it, and it is like such a good fucking book. If you are trying to think about your anxiety from a different perspective, or understand your anxiety, or understand why you feel the way that you do, it's written by a woman who speaks in current times. Like, it's not some old ass psychology book where it's not really relevant anymore. Like, she understands what it means to be human, and she gives you like real life tools. And I am in therapy, but I love this book because it's like not as heavy as therapy. Like I don't have to talk back. I can kind of just absorb it. Yeah. So it's a really great book. I've been reading it like over the course of the past 2 months, just here and there. And it's really, really nice. So if you're looking for something to kind of just like give you some clarity on your anxiety and maybe like why do you think the way that you do, you should read that book.
I just have one. I've been on like a little like not EDM, but like a vibey music kick lately, and it's elevator music, but it's Zach Fox's set. Like Zach Fox, he's a comedian artist. If you guys watch Abbott Elementary, he's Tariq in it. But he's such a good DJ, and he has like an hour-long set on elevator music. If you just like go on YouTube, Google that. 10 out of 10 recommend.
I will be listening to that.
It's good. Weekend. It's vibey.
It is vibey. Mine is kind of like sad happy. So I've been really upset lately with life, and I've been trying to find the small joys in life. And this was just something that I wasn't expecting, but I loved it. Last night I was really hungry, and Brendan and I just moved. I don't have pots and pans yet, so it's kind of been eat what you can eat when you can find it. And I ordered from GoPuff Hot Pockets. And the nostalgia of putting it in that packet, having it halfway done when you pull it out of the microwave, it oozing with smoke, just burning your tongue. I loved it. And it was so delicious. And like, I implore you all to just indulge in a childhood snack. Sometimes they don't taste as good as when you're a kid. Your palate matures, but I can promise you that Hot Pockets still hit.
I eat them at least like once a month from GoPuff.
The crust, the last bite where it's like the corner of it, and it's just, oh my God.
If you're hungover in the morning after going out, order those from GoPuff and like eat about 2 of them. I mean, or
they have
one
tons
of them.
of protein.
Like so good.
Jake eats like 3 Uncrustables a day, so
those are good too.
Those childhood snacks, it literally warmed my spirit. I was like, oh, this is so 5th grade.
I want that for dinner.
They make these big ones with buffalo chicken in them.
Oh wow!
Period.
They make a
they're
Philly
new.
cheesesteak one too. The breakfast ones go crazy.
Hot Pocket, are you listening?
No, please, I'm begging you. I'm
Send me a Hot
begging you. I'll
Pocket,
eat them
please.
all. So, what was your other? Did you have another one?
No, that was my only one.
Okay.
Just standing Hot Pockets.
Oh, I'm hungry now.
Period. So tonight, have a Hot Pocket, watch Sex and the City, read that book, and
Don't
also
text him
listen to
back.
Some elevator music, and don't text him back.
No, do not.
And keep everything between us girlies.
Please, y'all.
Don't tell anyone.
I'm gonna get dragged in these comments. I'm not ready for it.
Bye.